Hello and welcome to an amazing podcast. This is DM Modi and we are talking about the recent episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. And I know that statement
Yes.
just aged this video horribly, but I feel like this is going to go on for a good amount of time. So,
Yeah, episode 13 of Jujutsu Kaisen tomorrow.
yep, I'm going to call. I know this is like. Are there like? Would you call like? Do animes do like mid-season finales? Because this feels very mid-season finale-y.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely the end of an arc, and I guess they timed it very well because this is usually when seasons end, and it just so happened to be when the arc ended. So I think they timed it pretty well.
Yeah, because they're doing a whatchamacallit. This is like 25 episodes. This is a 25 episode series, right?
I'm not sure, but I you're probably right. Yeah, I think it's like 26. Yeah,
Which again, I'm super happy about. Like,
yeah.
I will say that I feel like this episode isn't as good as the last one, but as a way to like sort of wrap everything up, I think it was pretty solid. I mean, like I love the
What
series.
Do you remember what I rated last week's episode? Because I think I rated it pretty highly, and I think this one's even better. So I'm trying to remember. Like, did I give it a 9?
So I think you gave it an 8.
Okay, yeah, I might have given it an 8. I think I gave it was an 8, but I think I most likely gave it an 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought this episode was really good. Like a lot of stuff in it that
Yeah.
I enjoyed. But yeah, I mean, what did you not like about it?
So, I liked a lot. So I liked the stuff I love all the reveals. So I liked how they introduced like, Mahito's domain expansion. I liked how they brought him down. I liked the whole like pre-domain expansion beatdown. Like, if JoJo's Bizarre Adventure beatdowns are like an extra large fry, this is like an extra large burger where like with fries you just get like a bunch of like super mini like satisfying bites. This is just like you just get like a chunk, like a giant mouthful of like
Are you talking about the part when they both were like punching
yeah, like there weren't as many punches or hits in like as like a JoJo's beating, but dang did each of them feel satisfying.
Did you also get Hisoka vibes from that? Because I definitely got Hisoka vibes. Like when he was like, "Oh, is this what death is?" and he was like so elated about it.
I'm mad they did not give him a swing moment.
They really should have. That would have been the best reference.
He does like the domain expansion, but instead of like it coming out of his mouth, it comes out from his crotch, and it's like the giant like glowing swing aura.
Speaking of things coming out of his mouth, that part when he vomited the humans, that part I just didn't like it. Like it was definitely the weirdest part of the show so far for me. Like it was just so bleh, you know?
Yeah, like
I don't know. I know it's supposed to be that way, but like it just like I don't know. It disturbed me a little bit.
See, I didn't like it, and that's why I liked it because yeah, it did disturb you. Like again, it goes back to the whole like Hunter x Hunter Naruto like inspirations because I definitely feel like in that like string of like evolution of like Hisoka Orochimaru, I think Mahito like comes right at the end of it, and I love how it was like super weird how like Orochimaru was just like vomiting snakes and stuff. But I just love
Oh,
how
true.
like it wasn't as excessive as that, but the fact that they were just like Cronenberged up humans just made it so much more like yeah icky, which I loved.
Yeah, it was really creepy. Yeah, I didn't like that part. What did you think about like animation wise for the fight? Because I would say this episode probably had the best fight animation, except for maybe when Gojo fought Jogo. Um, yeah, what do you think?
So I think the fight animation for the episode prior to this was way better. Like the
Oh
animation
yeah.
on a technical level was excellent, but you had an issue where like Mahito would like constantly jump off screen, and it would just feel like you had trouble keeping up with it. And sometimes that works, but the problem with this was you didn't have anything good to look at while you were trying to, like, reorient yourself. Like, if you were watching the Dragon Ball Z Broly movie, the recent one, there were a lot of moments where the animation just got, like, really disorientingly, or, like, got really it really disoriented you. But there was always something nice on screen to sort of, like, distract you from it to still make you feel relatively good. With this, you didn't have anything on screen, so I was like, I found myself a number of times just, like, saying to myself, like, turn the camera, I can't see what's going on, turn the camera.
Yeah, for me, I guess that's true. I didn't really notice it. For me, like, it was moving fast enough that I didn't even have time to notice that I wasn't looking at anything interesting. But yeah, I liked the way the fight was choreographed, and yeah, I thought it was really good.
Also, you have to give points to Jujutsu Kaisen. I just need to, like, give them props super hard because think about it. This is coming out, like, the same time as Attack on Titan, and they're both being done by the same animation studio. And Jujutsu Kaisen is getting the A treatment over Attack on Titan.
So that's crazy to me because, yeah, I've heard that exact same thing on Twitter. Like, people are saying that, like, Jujutsu Kaisen is getting better animated than Attack on Titan, which, I mean, listen, I love Jujutsu Kaisen, but I feel like that's a shame because this is the last season for Attack on Titan, you know?
Now, I definitely think that, like, the animation for Attack on Titan isn't bad, like, and honestly, like, even with, like, the cheap out techniques they use, like, with the CG, I still think it looks good, and they do a lot of, like, really interesting, like, nice stuff with it. But goddamn, Jujutsu just, like, they definitely had, like, there's a definite A team and a B team at Mappa. And I'm not saying, like, the B team's bad, but, like I said, A and B. A team, like, B team. Jujutsu definitely got the A team on this one. Like,
maybe since Jujutsu Kaisen came first, and it has, like, still another, like, 13 episodes to go, probably.
Like, what?
Maybe by the time this Jujutsu Kaisen is over, Attack on Titan will be halfway over, and maybe, like, the last half of the season will just be, like, incredible levels of animation for Attack on Titan.
That's what I'm expecting, honestly. I think that's a very safe bet.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do. Because I want more of that. I know I don't want to get too much into Attack on Titan, but I want more of that, what we saw in season 3, and, like, especially that one part with Levi. I'm not going to spoil or anything, but yeah. Anyway,
but it's just,
I thought the animation in this episode was very good.
Oh, yeah. Like, there were some, like, technical part, like, there were cinematography parts, like, the actual movement and animation was amazing, but the cinematography was, like, the parts where I thought, like, could have used a little bit more work. Honestly, and this is something really interesting, actually, that I want to point out, like, and I know this isn't, like, the Attack on Titan episode, but it's something really interesting about, like, Mappa's animation. Attack on Titan, while, like, I will say, like, and this is something now that I'm thinking about it, kind of puts the A team and B team thing into question. But the idle animation, like the slower animations for Attack on Titan, are way better than the slower animations for Jujutsu Kaisen. So, like, Attack on Titan has way better slow animation than Jujutsu, but Jujutsu has way better fast animation than Attack on Titan. Which, again, is, like, really weird. I think that's just, like, really interesting to me.
It makes sense to me, maybe because Attack on Titan is... There's action, of course, but it's, like, a very talky show. So, like, for a show that's so heavy on, like, dialogue parts and, like, there's a lot of parts where no one's, like, doing much, it would, like, if I was, like, in charge of the show, I would make sure that since there's a lot of those slow parts, I would make sure that those slow parts are animated well so that people, because otherwise it'll be so obvious if you just have, like, a 5-minute long still shot.
Right. Now.
Yeah.
Quick question. So, I've been hearing, like, I've always, like, had, like, an interest in how, like, certain writers kill characters off. And one trick I know got made is really is used relatively commonly in like Demon Slayer is like revealing a character's like tragic backstory like right before they die, kind of. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I know like there's like the two camps where like one camp's like, yeah, it works fine, like there's no problem with that, and then there's the other camp that says like, oh yeah, that's cheap, like we should have just known about this earlier, and like I think I'm not sure what camp I'm in, because on one end I definitely think that killing a character off by like having them like complete their arc is really good, and I think it's kind of like a little like diminishing when you just like reveal their like wants, goals, and aspirations like right at the end. But then there's the other idea of like you guys have to like write two flashbacks, because then you have to like, if you go the JoJo's route, you need to have like the flashback of their backstory, their motivation, yada yada, and then you need to have like the death flashback where you like complete the character arc. Where if you have like, if you go the Demon Slayer route where you get the tragic backstory out and you get the same effect. And when I was watching like the scene where Nanami gets like gets trapped within like Mahito's domain expansion, that's what was going through my head, where it was like, okay, they're revealing his backstory, he's freaking dead. And like that's clearly not how the episode goes, but I was just wondering, like, do you think one way is better than the other? Of like revealing the backstory as soon as like right as they're about to die, or like having it like be revealed earlier and then like having that carry along with the character, like the JoJo's route or JoJo's Part 5 route.
I don't think either is better. I think like it just depends on the situation. Sometimes revealing it right at the moment of death is better. Sometimes revealing it earlier is better. It just depends on the context of everything going on. I'd say in this situation, and I would also say I think there's a good reason that a lot of the time like writers will put that flashback at the moment of death, is because like it's a lot of the time it may not even be much of a choice, because it's like it's the best place to put it for like in terms of dramatic purposes.
Yes.
Because especially if you're talking about a battle series, like in a battle series, the climax of any story arc or even the series is always going to be a fight. And so if you're going to make that impactful, a fight that's just like, you know, a fight that's just two people fighting is not as impactful as like if, you know, you have a backstory. And sometimes you can find good opportunities to do it earlier, but I think a lot of the time it for battle series, it works well to put it right at the end of their life or whatever. And I think this was a good situation to do it here, and I think it worked here. And even though he didn't die, I think that makes it even better actually, because now we have like, it's like we thought he was gonna, so like it's like the best of both worlds, because we got the impact because we thought he was gonna die. Now we have his backstory, and we know more about him now, and I certainly like him more now as a character, and it'll be much more fun, you know, seeing him in the rest of the series.
Because it had so much impact, because like as soon as they started playing the flashback, it was like, oh shit, he's gonna die, and then when you actually had like the writer like playing with that expectation, and you have like Yuji like coming in and like saving the day, it just made it so much sweeter.
Also, I didn't think he was gonna die. Like,
really?
Not even for a second. No, because I don't know. I mean, for me, like, okay, all of this stuff comes down to like assumptions.
True.
Based on like past patterns, right?
True.
And so we're watching Jujutsu Kaisen, you know, a Shonen Jump series, and there's two things that could happen. A really big main character dies, or what's the other one? I forgot what I was gonna say. But I guess my point is that I think it would be much less likely of him dying than them doing the backstory as like a fake out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I'm explaining it very badly, but like if it's the choice between the backstory is there because he's gonna die or the backstory is there as a fake out, I would choose the fake out because like characters don't die that easily, especially when we just had a character die last episode. Like,
Yeah.
I would have been super shocked if he actually did.
And that would be a terrible move because, like, when you have multiple characters dying at the same time, it always only one of them actually has like any impact. Like, if you had both like Junpei and Nanami die at the same time of this arc, you would only be focusing on one of their deaths, and the other one would just been like, no one cares.
Yeah, I was expecting that Gojo would come in and save the day. I actually wasn't expecting it to be Yuji, but yeah, I didn't. I would have been really surprised if he actually died. And I don't like, how many favorite characters am I allowed to have in this show? Because because after this episode, Nanami is my favorite character, definitely. Like, his backstory was so, I thought it was really good. Like, it's like, it felt very basic, but it's still like, it had like, and the fact that they did it in such a short amount of time too, right? It had like it had so much, it had an arc. He literally had an arc within a backstory, which is crazy to me, you know? So yeah, I like Nanami a lot now, and yeah, he's my favorite character amongst others, but like as of episode 13 right now, the way I feel, he's my number one right now. So yeah, let's talk about that part when Yuji comes in and saves the day, pretty much. Like when he busted through the domain. So I feel like this is the type of situation that, like, in most other series, it would feel like an ass-pull. Because, you know, it's like, oh, of course, the main character comes at the last minute before his friend dies and saves him, right? But I feel like it worked here because it made sense in terms of everything in the plot, right? So first of all, it made sense that he could break through the domain, like the infinite domain. Is it called infinite domain?
Is domain expansion.
Okay, yeah. Domain expansion is meant to be like, you know, once you do this, you're going to finish off your enemy. So I'm assuming anyone who does it would put all the enemies into the domain. But the reason he left out Yuji was because, you know, he couldn't actually hurt Yuji, right?
Right.
So that's one thing about it. The other thing about it is that you would think, oh, how did Nanami forget that, you know, a domain can be broken into easily from the outside? Okay, well, he didn't know because he doesn't have a domain himself yet. And you would think, well, how would Mahito not know? Well, Mahito doesn't know because he just it's his first time using a domain. So I think, like, with everything considered, it's like it worked very well, and it was hype. It was so hype when he busted. I was like, oh my god, oh my, like, and you see, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, come on, like, I've seen this exact moment so many times, right? There's no reason why I should be getting hyped, but I am because they're just, it's done so well. And like, even now, like, now I'm at a point where I look for things like that, like, oh, was it an ass pull? And like, even if I scrutinize it, I don't think it was, right? So a lot of respect. That was just such a good moment.
No, it wasn't an ass pull because, like, you said, the writer covered all of his bases. Like, he foreshadowed, like, what would happen if Mahito tried to F with, like, Sukuna again. He established how, like, a domain expansion isn't supposed to, like, you should, like, is inescapable from the inside, so why would you, like, focus on, like, external defenses? And, like, everything was just so solid. Like, major props to the writer of the series. Major props.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing I also wanted to mention about that is, I talked about it last week, but the fact that it's like this trope that you always see where like a character is about to die. Like usually it's a main character. A main character is about to die, protagonist, and he is like at the end of the rope, no power left, and he has to. And then at that moment, he's able to pull out his his trump card that he's never done before. Right.
Right.
They did that exact same thing except with a villain. Like this is what I like about it so much, because it's really like switching it up. And it goes into what I was saying before last week about how like this series is just as much about seeing the protagonist develop as it is seeing the villains develop and grow. And like coming away from this, Mahito is gonna have like he's gonna learn a lot of lessons, and he's only gonna come back stronger. So I like that.
I really like Mahito now because, like, again, it's terrifying because now he has like a quick instant hit for his like instant kill technique, which is really fun and terrifying.
Yeah. And other than that, the even more hype part for me was when Yuji breaks in and then Sukuna shows up. And it's just like, oh no, it's over for Mahito. Like he just maimed him with just the flick of a wrist. He just totally destroyed him. And then that line, like probably my favorite line in like one of the best lines I've ever heard in anime, honestly. Like just so cold. Like whether you die or you die doesn't matter. Like damn, Sukuna's so good, man. I love Sukuna. Like that is the coldest line I've ever heard. Like, oh, that was so hype. That's the like that is a big reason why I put this episode above last week's.
The thing I love about Sukuna so much is like he's so unpredictable, because like if you look at Naruto or Bleach or a lot of the other shows that have like the whole inner demon trope, they're always really predictable. Like Naruto gets pissed, he's going to summon the Nine-Tailed Fox, or like Ichigo's like almost about to die, Hollow Ichigo comes out. But Sukuna's like, screw this kid, I'm going to do whatever I want when I feel like it's convenient for me.
I mean, and what he wants is just to kill everyone, so that makes it even better. Except for, so I don't know why he wants to keep Megumi alive. Do we know that yet? I don't know if I just forgot or if it's just like a mystery.
Like, I know Megumi tried to like pull off a technique when he was fighting him that one time, but got stopped because Yuji sort of like regained control. So I think it's something like in regards to that.
Okay, yeah. All right, so I guess we just don't have that many details about it yet. But that's another thing I really liked, is that it's like built up the mystery of that even more. Like I really can't wait to find out why he wants Megumi specifically alive. That should be really interesting. And last thing I wanted to talk about for this episode was the fact that once again this series is different. Like Yuji actually had to kill someone. Like in other series, the main characters would like figure out some way to like not have to kill someone and like still be able to like stick with their principles. But in this, it's like, no, Yuji had to kill someone, and just 2 episodes ago he was preaching about how he wasn't going to do that, and now here he is. And yeah, it's interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes overall. Like, what do you think? Do you think there's a possibility of this series becoming the kind of thing where like Yuji actually starts to develop like a dark side, and like maybe he even starts to become more sympathetic to? Because I really feel like this is just a gut feeling that I have, but I feel like there's more to Sukuna. Like I feel like he probably has some backstory or something that actually shows him in a sympathetic way, and I wouldn't be surprised if like much later on Yuji and Sukuna like actually end up teaming up for something, and like they actually become on good terms. But I don't know, that's just a wild guess.
So I would bet money on them like coming to good terms because shonen. But I definitely think Yuji is going to be on a positive character arc, and he's definitely going to go through a said character arc. but I feel like it goes back into the style of this show where, yeah, it's shonen, but it's grounded. Like, not everything's like a happy ending. People die, and sometimes you just can't save people. And I think Yuji's arc will be centered around facing nihilism, but being able to look past that.
Yeah.
It would be sort of like being able, like, understanding that the world is shit and you can't do anything about it, but still maintaining that, like, shonen protagonistness. Like, with Naruto, it's like, yay, everything's all good, he powered up, and that means there's no issues, you can save everyone you want, woohoo! I feel like this is just gonna be like, yeah, you can power up as hard as you can, but sometimes you cannot save everyone.
Yeah, I can see that as well, and I'm looking forward to that. That's like really refreshing. So, yeah, because of all those reasons, yeah, I love this episode. I would rate it like a 9, probably, maybe even 9.5. I would say 9 because for it to be like a 9.5 or a 10, it would just have to like just be unreal levels. Like, you know, like animation would just have to be One Punch Man levels. You know, but yeah, I thought it was great. I'll give
Honestly,
it a 9. Sorry.
I would rate, like, if it weren't for the camera issue with like the fight animation at some points, I would give this a 9, but with that I will give it an 8.5.
Another very solid episode as usual. We're halfway through, you know, the first season, and yeah, it looks like this show is headed on the right path, and yeah, I have high hopes for the second half of it. So that's been our review of episode 13. Thank you for watching, and see you next week.
Stay safe, have a happy Christmas and a happy New Year's, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.